Hello, doll friends. This is Michael Canadas with the Carmel Doll Shop and the Grovian Doll Museum. The time has come for me to introduce the legendary Sheryl Williams. It is. You are a legend in the world of doll making.
Well,
and you are. And doll making and doll costuming. So Sheryl has not been here for a long, long time to do a class. But we're back and now we're sharing it with the whole wide world.
That's great.
And she's been working very hard getting this little project off the ground. It's been a couple years in the making. So why don't you share it with everyone what we're going to do?
Okay. All right. It's great to be back here. I've really missed everybody here. And I know every time I hear from my students, I go, oh, I wish we were back here again for class. But this is a way we can all be together. And even though it might not be in person, we'll make it as in person as possible. So I want to tell you a little bit about Celine and Celine's project. So Michael is right, I have been working on this for several years, and I think that you're going to love her. It's not just the doll in the wardrobe, but she has a box. She comes with her own little suitcase that has her name on it. So this is her valise that she can travel in. And let me open it up for you. Let's not do her upside down. And you'll see what's inside. So she has herself in the middle in one of her dresses, and then we have multiple dresses and underwear and accessories, all of which are going to come in your kit. So this is a million little tiny things that had to go together to do this, and little tiny buttons and little bits and pieces of wonderful things. So I think you're really going to like this. For me, it was a challenge because I haven't worked this small in quite some time. So
Although she's not tiny.
She isn't tiny,
for all this, she's a good sized girl.
Right, yes,
But it is tiny, yes.
But she is tiny compared to the fashions that I've been
true.
doing for
That's
the last few years. So let me take her out so that you can see her. She really is adorable. She's a sweet little thing, and this is her fluffy aqua dress. So let me show you back and front. And I think it's very reminiscent of some of the old mignonette dresses. And you'd think this would be a 5-minute project, but I can guarantee
it's not.
It's not.
But you can do it. You can do it in a small space.
Right, you can do it in a small space, and of course on video, you can do it over any period of time you choose to do, unlike class where we have a deadline that we're working towards. So anyway, this is
And
Celine.
Sheryl, it just hit me because we've never tried it. Will she work with one of the bigger girls as a child?
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, she's a little.
She's a little.
Yeah, she could be a big doll for them. Yeah.
Right.
she could be
Actually, she'd be wonderful in their arms.
Yeah, as a big French bébé.
Yes, right. So that is Celine, of which in the seminar you will be receiving Celine. So you're going to be ready to go. Now, anytime I'm working on a project like this, I always like to have background research, background documentation. So I also brought with me another little suitcase that has been in my collection for a while. It's been around the block a few times.
Yep, wonderful.
But it is all original, which you don't often find. So in here we have a little antique
Sustrack.
Thank you. Stumble, sustrack in here. And I think there's a number of things that are really terrific about this. But I think one of the most unusual is her hammock, which I have never seen in a doll. I've seen doll hammocks, but I've never seen it part of her wardrobe.
And you can tell because it's connected.
It is connected. Also, it's got the nice little Deposé label on it, which I think is really cool. This is, you can tell, is only a 2-part box where I have done a 3-part for Celine because I wanted Celine to have her own display space here. So let's take a little bit more of a look of her and to see that she also has a sweet little bebe dress. It has an adorable little straw bonnet.
And pink and blue.
Yes, and the pink and blue ribbons. That seems to be very much a theme on many of these little ones, is the little soft pastels.
Well, they may not have always been soft pastels.
Oh, maybe not.
Time mellows.
Well, and this
time
one,
mellows all of us.
this one I had a really hard time taking the clothes off because the ribbon is shattering, of course, at this point.
So the kit that we are going to be offering is historically correct because you have used the original documents to make your patterns.
Right, right, yes. And let me just show you some of the other little darling things here. It's not at all uncommon to see the underwear, and she has a couple pieces of underwear here, including a little corset and a bed jacket, and 2 more dresses, and 3 hats plus the one she has on is 4. A little moth-eaten after a few years,
sure,
but to be expected.
They're real.
But they're
original.
real, and they belonged to her. And you can see the inside of her little bonnet using a very wide straw and just wetting it, and pulling it with threads to make this. And then taking the ribbon and using it to cover up that hole in the top. So. And then again, all of these are front opening little dresses, of which I designed the one that I have on Celine right now after that style dress. And of course, there are many things you can do with these because your trims take the same pattern and make an entirely new looking
Oh,
dress.
absolutely.
So,
And
it's
the nice
very
thing
versatile.
is, shall we talk about how we're going to be offering this? 'Cause
Oh, I think that's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
Yes.
So how we're going to be offering this, because you're going to be watching this video, perhaps, well, you're not going to have your kits because the kits won't come out until after the video
Right.
debuts.
Yes.
So how we're going to be offering it is something that we've never done before. It's going to be multiple ways. So there's going to be an offering where you get the kit with all of the things to make the trunk that are possibly that we can send you, where we can't send you a saw or hammer or anything
But
like that.
all of that's been pre-cut
Yeah,
for you.
so we're not sending you that, but you're gonna get everything to make the box, everything that's in the box. You're gonna get the doll pre-made by Carl Armstrong, so that will be all ready. Now there's a lot of you out there that have dolls just like this, and you love to dress your antique dolls, so we're going to offer the pattern to make it. Then you have to figure out how to get your own trunk. That won't come in it, obviously.
Right.
And the third thing that's going to be very exciting, it's the first time we've ever done it, and it's because someone encouraged us to do it, because we realize there's a whole group of you out there that want to create. So we're going to offer the mold for sale as a separate buy. So there's lots of venues for them to do, so really no one's going to be left out.
Yes,
if you
very
wanna play.
exciting
Yeah.
to have molds available so that the doll makers that belong to the group can make their own rather than have someone else's, which is
Well, and I mean,
Very
we realize
nice.
that there's some people that want to have the doll immediately and want to play, and there are some people that want to make them themselves. So Carl is making the molds as we speak, and should we show them a little bit of her so that they kind of
yes.
get it?
Yes.
Now, I must apologize. The original doll that the mold was made off of this is somewhere in this building, but I can't find her right now.
I don't know where she is.
Yeah, but it's really cute.
But she has a very cute little body. There she is in her all-togethers. So, and let me take the shoes off so you can see her cute feet too.
And if you were a doll maker, you could just do shoes on it too, couldn't you?
Yes.
Just paint them on.
Sure,
Yeah,
that could.
yeah.
that
You wouldn't
could
have to.
be.
You wouldn't have
Yes.
to do that.
Yes.
Which would have saved us a lot of trouble. We would have thought of it.
Right.
So we're excited about this. This is
Yeah.
a new venture for us, and the great thing is if you want to just buy the patterns kit, you have unlimited. This doll could have 100 dresses.
Yes, and that would be lots of fun if she did. And they are, it depends on how much time you want to put into them, but you can take the basic pattern, add a few trims, and you have a whole new dress. Yes, and
all
use
those
scraps. Yes.
Also known as cabbage. Now, if you hear some grunting and snorting, it's not us.
Promise.
Bixby and Annabelle are in the building. They seem to know when we're doing this, and we kind of have to just put up with it because it's way worse if they're locked out. But anyway, so we've got a lot of work to do to get this started, and we're starting today.
Yes.
And are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah, you're gonna go put your working clothes on.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Bye-bye, doll friends.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back.
I just wanted to show you what is included in this kit because it may not look so much here, but when you see all of this, this is what you're getting. So we start out with the box, and it will come to you already cut from Sheryl Williams' workshop.
Sheryl did this herself.
I did these myself. So here's what we start with, and then you've got all of the Valise instructions and patterns and everything here. This is going to be our covering. This is the inside of the large pieces. This is the edges, and you say, okay, so why did you use two different fabrics for this? Well, I found out that it looks better if you look in the box. It shows better if you've got the darker background and you've got the lighter reflection.
Oh,
there.
I did. I would never have.
You
I
would never picked up that, would you?
No, that's
yeah.
That's almost like making someone look thinner by doing that
Yes,
little
that's
trick.
right. It's a little visual trick. And of course, then you have all the pieces that go to either decorating the inside of the box or making all of the, all the leather straps, your little tag that has Celine's name on it, your little latch so that it latches up so you can carry her along.
So this is really World Doll Day Travel Doll.
This is a travel doll, yes. And then you get the kit that includes all the wardrobe in here. So it'll include all of your instructions, your patterns. I've got photo pages for every one of your dresses, so that you can refer to that as you're sewing. It goes on your hats, because there's several hats in here, another hat, more shoes, including some demo pictures there, and then you get your full set of instructions. Then you get all of these delightful little bags that are all labeled with everything you're going to need, and I would highly suggest that you not mix them up. That's
Well,
why
we
they're
have a
all
rule,
packaged.
don't we, that you
Yes.
don't open it until you need it.
Until you need it, until you are ready, and then keep it contained. So that is the kit for this, and needless to say, there were many hours packaging all these little tiny things, but it makes such a beautiful project. I know you're going to love it.
So this is the kit, but we're also going to have available the pattern.
Yes, right.
And then if they are not buying the kit, then they have to source out all of the things that they'll need.
Right.
And it's pretty explanatory, isn't it?
Yes. You'll have supply lists and kit contents and all of that. So you've got everything that you're going to need to do this,
All right.
as well as the video.
Yes. So the first thing you think they should do is
Oh, I'd make her box first.
the box.
The box.
So is that what we're going to do first?
That's what we're going to do
Okay.
first.
So
Yep.
we will start on the box, and we will
Be back.
We're going to go out to the saw, and we're going to cut up some
up the
wood.
boxes.
Okay. We'll be back.
All right. Okay, so we're back, and I wanted, before we ever start a project, I like to have all my equipment ready to go. And so I did a supply list for you. Now, these are things that you probably have at home. And if you don't, I've actually starred on my supply list, which you're going to get with your kit, what Carmel has to sell. But I think a lot of the things you probably already have. But let's just go over what these are. Things like sealer, in case we have ravelly fabric want to seal, scissors for cutting, paper scissors, fabric scissors, tiny scissors, an awl you are definitely going to need, and a large eye needle, tape measure, pins, the invaluable needle threader.
I couldn't live without that. It would never happen.
I introduced
You did. It was
Michael
the greatest
too,
thing you ever did for me.
Right. And then I have some of the things that I like to sew with, which are, I love the clover needles, and they're the ones, I like the variety pack of links. And then I also love the Orifel thread, nice sewing ruler, fabric markers, pencils, and a tweezer in this size. Sewing is very handy. Good pin cushion, cutting board, cutter, and then I like to organize my things. And this is not organized.
Because you
for right
travel
now.
to do things.
I travel.
Yeah.
I like to have all of my things in this very handy sewing organizer. And the nice thing about this is it's soft, so that it packs well. I can just stick it in my suitcase. And the other thing is I always know everything's here, as long as I remember to put it back.
Yeah. But you could take that from your sewing room to your TV room,
Right.
and
And you know everything's here that you need. It does zip up completely. I just didn't do that. But anyway, very, very handy piece of very valuable thing to keep.
So Cheryl, they needle these things, which is more than what we normally do, because they're going to be doing more than just making a dress.
Exactly. I mean, we are doing the travel valise, which requires different kinds of tools than just our sewing tools, and that's why the awls and the pliers and that kind of thing are required. I also am asking for the cutting mat and a ruler and a rotary cutter, because you're going to be cutting a lot of straight lines for
Right.
your when we're doing
And
our travel
everybody
valise.
needs to have that anyways.
Oh, you do.
So if
I
you
can't
don't
live
have
without
it, it's an investment.
It is an investment. In
Yeah.
fact, this is my lap board every night when I sew. I'm always have that on my lap. My cat hates it because he'd rather be on my lap, but he has to live on the cutting board too. But anyway, this is my lap board for always, and I don't know how anybody could live without it.
No.
So, and it's also, a pressing board on the opposite side.
Oh, perfect.
So
Okay.
you've
Yeah.
got everything there. They use nice little iron, and then you're ready to go. Okay. So let's put all this away and let's get the tools that we're going to need to start our box. All right, so we're going to start covering the valise, and we're going to begin with this outside fabric, and you'll find that you've got one very long piece here, and then you've got pieces for your sides here, pieces for your ends. Of course, we've got both ends and both sides. But
And
the
those are
one-
pre-cut for them.
Those are all pre-cut for you. Doesn't mean that they don't have to be trimmed, because we'll be trimming and fitting, because I'll say that, yes, I cut all these boxes, but I can tell you that the boxes are not exactly to the 16th, or they're certainly a 1/4 inch, but there may be a 16th difference. So we're going to be doing some very exact kind of fitting in order to make this work.
And they're made by hand.
They're
so-
made by hand, yes.
So there's going to be
with my hands that.
That's right. And look at those beautiful hands with the skill saw. I can't do that.
It's funny when people come into my house, because they always assume that's my husband's equipment. I make that perfectly clear. No, that is my equipment.
Well, sometimes we have to make stuff.
Yeah, so anyway, And of course, you've got your complete instructions that I'm going to be reading as well, because it's been a couple weeks since I've done this. So
Well, you've been on to other things.
I've been doing other things like all the inside. All right, so you have in your kits, you're going to get a Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and we're going to use this for quite a bit of the project. The Yoo-Hoo is very strong glue stick. It's not like some of the dollar store ones or some of the other ones that don't stick well. This will work for a lot of ways, and it works nicely on fabric because it doesn't bleed through, which is very important.
So they're going to use the Yoo-Hoo to glue the fabric onto the box?
To glue our fabric on, and
okay.
You're going to find it works really nicely for this. Now, I didn't invent that, but I teach classes all the time, and when you teach classes, there's never one that I've taught that I haven't come back with learning something.
From the students?
From my students.
Yeah.
And when I was in Australia, my Australian students were using glue sticks for everything. Going, wow, what a great idea. So we're using glue sticks because it works really well. So we're going to apply the glue stick to the end of the box. Now, when you get your boxes, you're going to find that, there's some rough places, some, different. If you want to sand down, I've sanded all of your boxes, but if you're really picky, you could do that, but you're going to find that it's not necessary because the fabric that we're covering with is got some weight to it. So it's
a beautiful linen. And it's got kind of a texture anyways.
It does. It has a texture, so you'll never see any lumps or bumps. Not that you're going to find too many, but
but if they want to overachieve,
yes,
sand it to the maximum.
You're welcome. You're welcome to do that on your own time. But I've done it adequately so that you don't have to. Okay, so we're going to start with the ends, and I'm just going to rub the glue stick here, and then I'm going to extend it around the edges about a quarter of an inch. And gluing this top.
Gee, that's really looks easy.
It is easy. It's cool. Works really well.
It's way more fun than getting a can of spray glue.
Spray glue out and doing it. And then I just sort of centered my end here, if you can see it from the back. So that you've got about a quarter of an inch overhang on this now. Okay. So we're just going to wrap this around like that. And like that, and like that. And when we come to these edges, if we look on our box here, I've just sort of cut them back so that they lay nicely. Whoops, here. There you go. That's probably better.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because we do want it smooth. So we'll just...
It's kind of like doing a Christmas package.
It is. You just want those nice tight corners. So I'll put a little bit more glue on those corners here. And while I'm at it, I'm going to put a little bit down inside so that
And the nice thing about the stick is it's not running all over the place.
No, it's not. And it also, it gives such great adhesion without bleeding through, which is really important. Yeah. So I'm just gonna continue to wrap. And when we get to the corners like this, you can see if I pull it and you're stretching on the bias at that point, then it just goes down into laying flat, which is what we want here. And then we'll get rid of some of this excess fabric. Just pull, stretch, press down, make it as smooth as possible. This is sort of the crafty end of doll making, but sure is a lot of fun.
Well, this is what they did in the 19th century.
Yes.
The difference is when they were doing it, they were using animal glue that they had to boil on the stove.
Stop, because I forgot my scissors.
Okay, we have to stop because
Cheryl forgot her scissors.
Cheryl forgot her scissors, so go get your bag. We'll be right back.
We're back, and Cheryl has found her scissors so that we can continue our project here. So when we get to this point, you just really need to take your scissors and trim away this so we can get this down inside. So I'm just taking a little corner.
Just doing a little tab.
Yeah, just a little tab there so that we get rid of the excess. And
then it'll just fold
fold in.
Inward.
Yeah. And we can get rid of anything like that. Because of the weight of what we're using on this fabric, you're not going to see that.
We have quite a few doll trunks that have a similar fabric to this.
Yes.
And this is a really historically accurate choice. For
And
this.
actually, the Sistrax box is actually covered in a linen as well,
Yeah.
which you might not pick up because it's old and worn, but it
it's
was
just
a fabric.
nice kind of summery.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was probably the same color,
yeah,
like a wheat oatmeal color,
right.
which I love linen like this.
Yeah.
I don't love linen in clothes, but I love it on upholstery.
There are some places that I do love linen. I actually love making linen underwear.
Oh yeah, I guess that would
Linen
be.
underwear is pleasant to sew with. It looks pretty on the dolls, and it's got a little body that Batiste sort of lacks. So, okay. So now you can see all the corners are smooth. We've got any excess here, it will be covered up in the wrap. So we have to do both ends. And yes, we have to do both ends. Well, maybe we'll just go to the sides because that's the fabric I can find right now. So it's exactly
we
the
can
same
do the
deal.
sides because
Yeah.
we've shown them one. We don't have to show them.
We don't have to show them everything.
And if you missed it the first time, just rewind.
So it's exactly the same technique of you want 1/4 of an inch of your glue over, and I didn't, because the pattern is so random, I did not try to
There's no reason to match
match.
it.
These pieces, if you look here, are not from the same.
No, this is
This
very.
is just-
It's very
They're sort of
impressionism.
Yes,
It's a impressionist floral pattern.
right. So the one thing you are going to want to do, though, is to get the lines in the linen going square.
That
I mean,
that they should like.
That is important.
And air bubbles.
Right. But with a glue stick, you're going to find you're not going to have many air bubbles.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah,
That saves a lot of.
yeah. So again, round the corners.
So how do you think with this glue sticks, once it dries, is it a good solid?
This
Yeah, it
is
looks like it.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when, there were a few places that weren't adhered as well, what I did was you're going to get a bottle of magic glue, and I would just stick the nozzle in there and give it a little squirt and push it down. So if you're feeling that you did not get a good enough adherence, you can always go back with a little bit of that. But if we tried to use this on all of it,
Oh yeah, it'd be a mess.
it's going to be a mess. It's going to be bleeding through and not pretty at all. So
Yes.
now I think I've got these end pieces a little bit long, so we may trim something away after we get that corner nice and sharp. See
You can
the
always trim. You
you
can't.
can always trim. You can't put it back though.
can't, yeah.
The putting back part, that's the really tricky part. And again, we want to wrap it. We want to give ourselves some glue inside so that we can completely wrap this, because the insides will be covered in totally different fabric. But you need to have these overlap pieces.
Yeah, you don't want to have a
You
little.
don't want to have a bare
You don't-
wood
yeah, you don't
showing at
wanna
any
have-
point.
You
No.
don't want to have a mini skirt.
No.
It's got to be complete coverage.
Yeah, and I'm going to trim a little bit this way.
Got to be below
here.
the knee, ladies.
And a little bit on the inside too. And if you find, like there, where it I didn't seem to get enough, just go in and add a little bit more. A nice bulldog snoring.
Oh, I'm sure of that. He's just so excited about
so
this class. This is Bixby, for those of you who don't know him. These are the moments that we pray for every day. Just a little bit.
Snoring.
A little snoring, a little.
All right, now I'm gonna take my little scissors here.
I mean, I don't mind the snoring, and I don't like to have them here, but sometimes they just can't stand that we're not paying attention to them, and they'll knock the tables over.
That we don't need.
No.
So just a little trim back there, a little bit more glue. And then you got to remember all these raw edges are going to be covered with our big piece that's going to wrap around. So we just keep working all of this down. And when I'm doing this, trimming these corners away like that, I'm still not trimming right up to the corner. Because I don't want to see a raw edge there. Okay.
I mean, what would you do if someone did that and they've got the kit and they want to keep going and they made that little whoopsie? What would you think they'd do?
I would take some of your magic glue and a little scrap here and
put it in there.
and put it in here.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're not going to see it at the end anyway.
Yeah, and if they have the weave going the same way, it should just fit in.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll do this end, these ends here. Of course, we're not going to do the tops because that's included in our long strip that wraps around. So
that's basically what we just showed them.
Yes.
Was what they're going to be doing on all of these ends.
On all of the ends,
except the top.
right, and the end of the bottom as well.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's come back in a minute, and
We'll have these done, and then
we'll
we'll
have
move
these done, and we'll work forward from there.
Okay, we'll be back.
I finished the ends of the boxes, the uppers here, covering the ends there, covering the ends here. Notice everything else is uncovered. I've trimmed.
So these are the sides.
So these are the sides, yes.
Just the
So
sides.
when this comes together, this.
Okay, so it's
So
actually
then you'll see,
just the sides.
even though I didn't match anything on the sides, the fabric just seems like it works. It's
great.
a wonderful thing that it works together so beautifully. Okay, so now the last piece to go on the outside is our very long piece of tapestry. And so the one thing I forgot to mention is that everything has to be pressed. I mean, I have pressed before I put your kits together, but in the process of packaging and shipping and all of that kind of thing, the very first thing you should do is press, and then if it's in a kit, put it back so that you remember what it's for, and it's got a label. So I've already pressed the edges. The instructions say to press the edges down about a ½ inch, and I did that earlier. But then you need to glue stick
But they need
the edges.
to also then fit it to the box.
Oh, yeah, forgot about that. Yes, it's about a ½ inch.
About a ½ inch,
But
fit
you've
it
got
to your
to
box.
have it right to the edge of what you've covered here.
So it's right at the edge.
Yeah, it's just right at the edge.
A little tiny bit of a reveal.
Right.
Tiny.
Okay, tiny. Okay. Now, we've got to keep those sides down, because if we were just to glue this, that leaves the front loose, which means it will not go down smoothly. So back to the glue stick, and we're just going to go right on the fabric. And the glue stick is active for just a few minutes so that you could do this whole edge nicely.
What do you mean by it's just active?
It doesn't dry.
Okay.
It's active means that a glue is not dry, so it's still workable.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So
So
you
that's
get it
that
on
term.
quickly.
Get it on quickly.
You don't do this slow ski.
No, but now you just push it back down where you've got your pressing line. And now it's going to go on beautifully. By the way, if you have these strings, just take your little scissors and trim those off, because those just cause no end of issue.
Well, you got your glue, you can just glue them down.
True, but you don't want to glue them down with a lump.
No, then you'll be lumpy.
It would be
We don't want
lumpy.
lumpy.
Heaven forbid that our travel box is lumpy.
Lumpy is never a good
Never a
word.
good thing.
Unless
no.
it's ice
Even
cream.
the sound is
Yeah.
just really not attractive. So again, we're just gonna glue this all the way down. And I like to kind of start in the middle and work my way to the ends. I think that works better. Also try to not do that, which is a little ruffle I'm seeing here, which I don't like. We really have to have a nice sharp edge here. Use the weave of the fabric to help you. And see, if I didn't like the way that looked, I just lifted it right back up. And the one thing you might want to have, which I did not bring with me, are some little wipes for your fingers, those little alcohol wipes, because you do get pretty gluey as you're working.
I've seen much, much worse glue catastrophes than this.
Okay, so now I'm going to take this piece and just, kind of make the center. I've got a little bit of a fold here, and then I'm going to know that this is going to go right there. But first thing I've got to do is, well, actually I've got it over a little bit too far here, I can see. So the
Just
glue is
folded
still
workable.
still workable, so I just pull it back up and give myself just a squinch more fabric here.
Now, if you sewed that down, you have to start from the script of the beginning, wouldn't
Right, you would. Yeah. And if you used another glue, you probably wouldn't be able to pull
No,
it up like this and make it still workable.
How much time do you think you have before the glue really dries?
Oh, I'd say that actually to get this completely dry, you probably want to leave it, I don't know, several hours, I would say.
Okay,
because
so
it's
so
wet.
you've got some nice flexibility
You've got a nice
here.
working time. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go back and reestablish our little halfway mark here. And then we know we're going to be about like that. And that's fitting a lot better, Marco. You can see on the edge now.
Oh yeah,
We're
that's,
a lot in
that's
a lot
nice
better
little,
shape.
A nice little reveal.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've got glue on the bottom. Because the bottoms are kind of rough cut, because when I cut these, we were against the grain on the wood, that they're a little rougher than any other part of the box.
But it's not gonna
No,
matter.
it'll be, you'll never see it because of the grain in the fabric.
And I don't think you'd be able to feel it either.
Okay, so now we're going to put that.
And you're going to you're centering it into the center of the,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
All right.
That's just like flipping a pizza.
Yeah, yep.
So you
I'm just pushing.
You're just pushing the
just gonna
fabric
push
down
that
into the
down.
center of
Right.
the back, bottom.
The bottom,
The bottom.
center of the bottom.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm going to use the sides here, and here's one of those little threads that I want to clip away, because we don't want that to be
Yeah, you don't want that,
visible.
yeah.
Visible.
I mean, I think anybody that is good at doing a Christmas package, you know, or a gift package,
Yes.
can do this.
Yeah.
I think it's almost easier than doing a Christmas package.
Probably
At this point, I mean, I'm
is.
sure you've
Yeah.
got somewhere in this project something that's going to be challenging.
More
but-
problematic, yes. But just keep smoothing, smoothing this so we've got this coming up.
Now, you've designed this so
Yes.
that it looks easy, and you've already taken all the problems out of it.
I hope I have.
Yeah,
I've
I
worked
think you
hard
have.
at that.
I can see it.
Worked hard to make it easy. As
You
a
ma-
teacher, you know that if you make it easy for your students, you've made it easy for you.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, and it's easy because you figured it out.
Yeah. and I like this kind of thing. This is
Yeah,
really,
it's fun to do, isn't
really
it?
fun. But
And everyone should have a supply of these
glue sticks, I was going to say, I'm running out a little bit here.
And that's not going to be in their kit, is it?
I've included one in your kits.
Okay, so they're going to have to. Which
So
one
they-
would be enough? But they're once they get to use this product, they're
Yeah,
going to
you're
want
going to want more anyway, because you'll find a lot of handy places for this. Okay, so
There's the bottom.
there's your bottom.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
It's like
Now,
magic.
It is. It's magic. It's magic. And now we're going to
So we're fitting the
tops
tops,
on.
which are
Now.
also the sides, I guess.
Right.
So they're
I'm-
lining them up perfectly.
I'm lining them up so that I know everything is looking good and I've got the right fold, because my guess is I could still pull this back and
If you
redo it
wanted
if
to, huh?
I
You
needed
could
to.
too.
Okay, so now I really need to get another glue stick
Okay.
because I have.
Well,
gone
you
to
used
the
one
end.
that wasn't full.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. So in the meantime, while Cheryl's getting the glue stick, I can tell you that Bixby is just overwhelmed with this whole class. It's just, he's riveted.
So
Okay, we've got a new
Back
package,
again.
but you'll get a fresh one. You
Yeah.
won't get the used one.
no. Hopefully I won't be giving you used ones. Okay, so now we're gonna do this. We're gonna cover this.
The top
with
and the
glue.
side.
Yeah. Again. And don't do the bottoms or you'll glue your box together. So
Yeah,
that
we
it
don't wanna
doesn't
do that.
bend. You don't wanna do that.
But with this glue, they have enough time that they can.
Yeah.
It's not super glue. It's not gonna.
No. And it's better to work in nice straight lines so that you know you've got all
And
the wood
you're going with
covered.
the grain.
I'm going with the grain and I'm trying to just overlap my last line. You don't want to be higgly-piggly all over.
It's like putting lipstick on.
Yeah. Over very large lips. Because there's no glue on the bottom, and I'm just going to go ahead and do the top at the same time.
So the
I think
bottom would
that'll-
be it's on the straight.
Yeah.
And the top is curved.
Right.
So that's how you'll know. But you'll all receive
figure it out,
instructions.
yes.
It'll show you the pieces, so you'll know how to do it. I mean, I always suggest that they make first, when they're doing a dress, to make a mock-up out of cheap fabric, but there's no
not-
mock-up
not
of
here.
this.
No, this
So
is
you-
no mock-up.
you gotta
This is
get
the
it.
real
You
thing.
you only got one chance.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's turn it so you can see. Whoops. Until the whole thing is together again, it's not very stable.
So there are no hinges in this.
The hinges are either this fabric, or we're going to put an additional hinge inside.
Okay.
For stability.
Which you see that in a lot of original boxes
Yeah.
from the period that we're working in. And if you hear some grunting, Annabelle has come in. She's
We have
decided
more
to
company.
join us.
Yeah. Now I'm going to give myself a little pull here. So I've got both. I don't know if you can get that on the camera or not, Michael, but working the fabric out so that it is right
It's looking really
to
good.
the edge. Yeah. And over the top. And I'm pulling as I'm
Yeah, you're
putting
getting
this
it taut,
on
and
here. I'm
that's
getting
gonna
some
give it
tension.
strength too.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yep. Even on both sides.
And so they have quite a bit of over
You've got
fabric,
extra.
so
You've
that
got extra
there's
fabric
room
here.
to make a few little errors,
Yeah.
but not.
But not a lot.
And actually, you really are right, Sheryl, how the pattern,
It doesn't matter,
doesn't
does it?
matter. It's like
It just doesn't matter.
an impressionist painting, which,
Yes.
of course, the early part of that was when these dolls were made.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the dresses are very much like Renoir's Girl with the Hoop. And
Yes.
This is a good project to do. You just sometimes I just don't feel like sewing, and this would be this is
It's a good alternative,
this is
isn't
crafty.
it? Yeah.
You
Yes.
know, your little crafter.
Okay, and again, we'll do the top here.
You know who would be really good at doing this is David. They're looking for you, Sheryl. They're trying to get your kits.
Oh, come on.
They've heard it. They've heard it through the grapevine.
Yes, it's available. Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. But
Well,
soon. It won't be
it'll
long.
be available by first come, first
Yes.
serve.
Okay. So now we're going to put that up here. And again, we're going to match our sides nicely. I just love the colors in this. And
I
this
do too.
tapestry is just so
I really do
pretty.
too.
Just,
And it grows on you too, you know, because I've been looking at it for a day or so.
yeah.
But I like the way it works. That's, I mean,
Yes.
it's the way it looks, but it's also the way it feels.
Yeah. Yeah, this nice texture is important. And again, I'm snugging, I don't know if you can see this, I'm snugging this up and pulling it up as much as I can so that
And that's also helping getting the glue into all
yes,
the,
into all
right
the
nooks and
fibers.
crannies
Yeah.
and fibers.
Yeah.
I mean, could they iron this on? I don't think it needs
I
it.
don't think so. I don't think so because you've ironed it before we started.
Yeah, so it's better to just knead it in with your.
Okay, now
Wow,
I'm
look at
beginning
that.
to see that we've got, make sure that we've got that smooth enough, yes.
But once
That's
that
why
dries,
you need that other hinge, and we will put that on once that dries. Okay, so let's go to how we deal with this. Because you've got, if you look here, can you put the camera over there? And see that I've mitered that corner
Right.
a bit. So I'm gonna pull this back.
and you're just going to do it freeform, huh?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna clip it
So you
here,
clip it right at the edge of the.
right at the edge. And then I don't have any glue back here, so I'm gonna have to add some glue. Where are those
You
beautiful
did a little-
sharp scissors?
Where are those killers?
There we go.
Those are my favorite scissors. And that was
Yeah.
from Angela, who's, been to your
Oh,
classes
yes.
and did a class. She
Yes.
got me onto those.
Now, those are
And I'm
great.
sharing them now with everybody.
Yeah. So, again, we gotta pull that back. But you can see, I mean, it's been, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. I can still pull
It's been
that.
18 minutes and
Has it
25
been?
seconds.
Okay. We know exactly what it's
Yeah.
been. Okay. So when I've got that back, then I'm going to come back to the glue and I'm going to reapply here. And this time I'm going to
You're going over a little bit
go
more.
over a little bit more so that when it goes around,
Right,
it really fits
okay.
around the box there.
So these are not, I mean, these are things that there are no measurements for this.
No,
They have
no.
to, they've
Watch
got,
the video and figure it out. As you're playing with it, it
Yeah.
becomes quite obvious. Okay, so then we've got to add glue here and a little bit inside, right there.
with that all getting cased into.
Yes, well, that's all going to be lined in silk inside. So again, I'm going to ditch all these strings. I hate strings and things, especially when they stick to your fingers. Okay, so we're going to take that around, and again, I'm really pulling this around, and I can see that fabric is longer here, so we'll just take that away. This little extra we don't need because the whole inside is also lined, but in a totally different manner. So and I found that, when you've got a little bulk like here, if you just take, and I'm giving everybody a popsicle stick, you just use that as a flattening tool. That really keeps that nice and flat.
That's a good idea.
Now, you can see we got a little bit of fallout here is what I guess
So we'll
you can
fix
call
that.
it. So we're going to fix it where we can.
Well, just we pulled it out from the stress of it.
Yeah.
But it'll go back in place.
It'll go back because we know it fit in the first
Right.
place. So
Now, when we get this all done, will we kind of tie it together so that it takes shape, or is that even necessary?
not necessary.
Not necessary.
No.
Okay.
No. Though you'll
it's-
find that there were rubber bands when you get your box, it's going to be all rubber banded. So you could put it back around if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
but it's not
And I
necessary.
would wait until tomorrow to do the inside.
Right.
When, because
You
you're
wanna
gonna-
let it dry.
You're going to want to let the whole thing really dry nicely. But isn't it looking great? I mean,
It
just
is.
fabulous. Fabulous. Yeah. And on this one, I'm sort of liking the fact that there's a lot of pattern on one side and not very much on the other. So you can choose which side you like the
Well,
best.
and you can also have mood swings. If
That's
you want to
true.
sometimes be pale, sometimes be pink.
Be rosy, yes. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, but you already know how to do that, so I'll just do that while we're on to the next.
Okay.
Okay.
It's looking great.
It is. Okay, we're back. We've allowed this to dry now, and we're in pretty
Wow.
good shape here, like that. And now we need to work on the inside, but the first thing we need to do actually is to
We've got a
put
little,
those.
little pop coming out here. Which
Well, we
we'll
won't
fix
worry
that.
about
Not
that.
yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because we have another glue that we can stick in there and really
Okay.
adhere it. So
So that's going to happen.
that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to reinforce by putting a hinge in here. Obviously, the fabric on the outside
It's working
is
as a
also acting as a hinge, but it needs to be
More.
more, and you'll see it on
The
this
original
one here.
or
Yeah,
the prototype.
This is That's your hinge that's sitting in here.
And we do that as the next step, doesn't it?
That is the next step before we can line the inside.
Because the lining is going to act as a bond too.
Yes,
isn't it?
right. The whole thing comes
I mean,
together.
people, I
to
don't
hold
know
together.
anything. I'm just guessing.
You're just making it up, aren't you?
I'm just guessing.
That's okay.
Well, the only reason I think I kind of know a little bit is because you're making it just like an old one. And we've had a lot of old ones.
Yeah.
You know, old trunks and things with these.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do on this hinge, because this is just a rayon seam binding that I found. If you got it too thick, then the box wouldn't stay together nicely. It would stand apart. So I found this rayon seam binding works really well. But the first thing you need to do is get that. Let's get the right glue stick. Get that end turned back because you don't want that unraveling. So you're going to glue one end back here,
Okay.
like that.
So
and
how
then
much of a fold is that?
Oh, I think I probably got between 1/4 and 1/2 here.
Okay.
Just because it's convenient. Then we're going to take this and we're going to put it here. And the first thing, so I've got it lined up to the end here. Then I'm going to come to this end and I'm going to give myself another 1/2.
Okay. And this we're doing to the box, so you fit it to the box. There's no exact measurement.
No.
You fit it to the box.
You fit it to the box because, like I said, every box is a little bit different because they were all handmade.
And every tree's a little different.
Yes. So we get that one turned back.
This is a bespoken project.
Yes.
Everything is done.
Everything is done by hand. Now the other thing that I found in placing this, let me just go ahead and glue the other end. It's going to be right there. Is that, what was I going to say?
The other thing that you found us doing
this project, and I still haven't thought of what I
well, I
was going to tell
forgot
you.
Carl Armstrong's name today. So, you know,
We're
you're
all allowed
I'm
to.
sure. I'm sure he's not happy with me.
Probably not.
All the demands I put on him, and I didn't even remember
His name. Okay, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. So just give me a minute.
It's really important.
Yeah,
isn't
it was really important. Okay.
Okay.
I found that if I folded this and just finger pressed it in half, then I know that half of it's going on one edge and half of it's going on the other.
And there's no need to iron this.
No.
Because that's going to give it too sharp of a...
Yeah.
We don't
need that. Okay, so now we're going to put the glue on the box.
Sorry for that
Yeah.
wild move, but I had to get so I could show you.
Let's see, we'll get it.
You know, I'm not really a cameraman. I'm just
What?
I'm the one that has to do this because
you're the entertainment.
Yeah, well, because the other filmers here
I've
wouldn't
gone
understand.
home.
Well, yeah, they've gone home and they wouldn't understand. Well, what are you doing?
Okay, so we're going to take that edge and we're going to set that right to the edge of here, but not beyond. And then our little crease is going to sit right in
Oh, that crease is working really good.
Yeah, it gives you a guideline.
As soon as you get your finger out of the way.
Yes, it would be able to show it.
Okay, I get it.
Okay, you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just keep it lined up evenly.
You may hear some sound effects in the background. That's Annabelle, and we're so grateful that she's having a nice nap.
She's such a good girl.
She is a good girl.
Yeah. So I've got that a little bit off at the end, so I'm going to do it again a little bit deeper. Maybe this stretched a little bit as I worked along.
Seems to me that so far what we've done, this is the most fiddly bit.
It is.
So if
I
you could
think you're
get
right.
past this,
You're
because
golden.
the other thing looks just like fun.
Yeah.
This is the
And
fiddly
this
bit.
is, yeah. The other part is just cut and paste, you know. It's just that whole cut and paste thing. So we got one hinge on here, and one hinge on here, Cheryl. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry while we prep the inside. Now, the
So
inside.
basically, we're getting a ray of sunshine here.
Oh, we
So
are.
then-
Have a real
then-
ray of sunshine.
And
Okay, so that's just
that's
gonna,
it.
that's
And-
gonna glue. And this little extra that's hanging over will be taken up by the
We're gonna put the
linings we're
lining
gonna
is
put
gonna
in
cover
there.
that up.
Yeah, right.
So we'll do the other side, and then we'll
Yeah,
get ready for the next part.
I think, yes, can do that.
All right, we'll be back.
So I finished both of the hinges, but I found that the glue stick was not sticking adequately. So in your kit, you're going to get a little bottle of magic glue, and I found
It's
that
magic.
it's magic, and it fixed the hinges. Now, if you just run a little bit down on both sides,
Not
then-
not in the
no,
crevice, but
no, on both sides, then it sticks beautifully, and there's no problem. And if you have a place like, I see this coming up here.
we're going to do little
Yeah, we're
repairs.
gonna do a little repair with the same thing. The nice thing about this is got this needle point on the end, so
And this is coming in the kit.
this is in your kits. So we will just stick down anything that's sticking up that we want to reinforce. Okay,
So this is a super strong glue that we'll use for little repairs.
yeah, for little repairs, and we're using it other places as well. Like we're going to, when we line this, we're going to use it for that as well.
Okay.
So we're going to now move to fitting the inside of this.
Okay.
And you're going to have, in this packet, you're going to have pattern pieces that look like this. So we're ignoring this part for the time
For now.
being, but we need this inside box cardboard, and we need this page with these. And the reason we're doing it in paper first is because each box is just a little bit different.
We've gotta fit
and
it.
then we can adjust the paper patterns before we put it on our cardboard, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do, you are going to do, is you're gonna cut all this out. Now, I've already done all of that, so I'm gonna take, and I've cut right on the lines. So I'm gonna take this and put it in
It's
here.
right on the line, so there is no
Right.
more line.
So that there is no more line, but I'm also finding that this is not fitting quite as flat as I'd like to.
So we gotta do a little trim.
We're gonna do a little trim here. Mostly, it's going to be on this edge. If we look at it here, you can see this is hanging
Yeah,
over.
we really don't want that.
We don't want that at all.
Because that's gonna make
this
it-
would make it so it doesn't want to close properly.
So we gotta do
So
trim.
we've got to do a trim
So this
here.
is nothing about your pattern. This is the
No.
shape of the box.
It's the shape of the box, the thickness of the wood, the way the person who made them, me, cut it.
Well, and then
yeah.
wood, but wood has different.
It does.
It's
So now I'm
you're
just,
never going to get exact unless you're doing it out of plastic, which we're not.
which we're not doing, unfortunately. Okay, so,
So the
I've trimmed that
key
off.
is to trim it.
Right, to fit.
Each fit individually.
Right,
Make your template, and then
okay. It's fitting better, but I still think I need a little trim on the top. And then when we get one side done, we're gonna put it on the other side and see
And
if
hope
it's
that
the
works.
and hope that works. When we do our cardboard, we're going to actually mark right and left. So I think it's a good idea just to identify this as the right side. We're just gonna put an R here, and this is an L. Then we'll be able to coordinate. Obviously, there's only one middle, so we
Yeah,
don't
so
have to
that's
mark
easy.
that one. That one's easy.
that's the easy part.
Okay, so let's check this again and see if we're fitting better. we're fitting better. We still have
A little tiny bit,
just a
just a
tiny
smidge.
hang. Just a smidge has to come off of that. And we'll take that.
And we also, don't you have to really think about this? You've got to have the space for fabric. 'Cause
You
fabric is
have
gonna
the
take,
fabric wrapping the edge.
yeah, and
You
that
do.
takes up
A little
more
bit
than
of
you
space.
imagine.
Yeah. So now that
That looks really good.
that
now.
looks like a really maybe a little bit too tight though. Maybe it'd be better to take one more sliver off the other end, which will accommodate our fabric wrapping. Okay.
Now, they
so-
probably might want to think about this as making a copy of this if they're going to cut and they make a mistake.
Right.
And they'll have it.
That's right. So then I'm going to mark this L so that that's, you know, that's going to fit on this side, and then we have to do the one for the right, which actually
Looks pretty good.
pre-trimmed. I think I pre-trimmed this, so that's why it's fitting so nicely.
Oh,
We're
that's
gonna
a
ditch
lucky
this.
break.
Yeah. Okay. So now this is our piece. Okay, then we're gonna take these, and you probably, you've got two of these, one, this is the middle piece, two of these, and four of these, because those are the tops and the bottoms here, the short ones. So I've cut those out already. And actually, if you want to photocopy those, then you can do your multiple pieces. So here's one that's going to be here.
And these are
that,
patterns, just like a dress pattern.
yeah, right.
Except we're going to make it out of cardboard.
Yep. And I'm going to fit the other end, which is just a hair too long. So again, if you look at the amount of trimming I'm doing,
Yeah,
it's not very much.
It's just a little,
It's just a tiny little sliver.
and we can't tell you the exact measurement because you've got to fit it to the box.
You've got to fit to your box. Okay. Then I think I'm gonna do the center of the bottom here next, which is a little bit long. So we're gonna trim that one away as well. Yeah. And then we've got, these are cut twos, two of the long sides, which are up here. That's not, this was cardboard for center sides. This is your center box. So that's gonna be like that, which is too long. Again, better too long than too short, so we're gonna trim that one down.
Well, I mean, this was made for the prototype box, which
Yeah.
was again handmade.
Yep. And we don't want them extending above.
No.
Or when
And
you
let's show
close,
them what we would consider above, which is
which is right here.
Right.
And I can see, I don't know if you can
It
get
can't
the camera
poke
in
over
it.
because-
Can you see that that's extending too high? And
Yes.
then the box wouldn't close.
right. So that they really,
You
that's
really
the
have to
area
be
you have to
careful with
really
that.
trim that perfectly.
Yeah,
But you just have to keep doing it till it works.
till it fits. And it probably is a good idea to photocopy these to begin with, so that if you over trim it, you've got your original to go
Right.
back to again.
Exactly.
So let's see about,
Or at least put the measurements down.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the measurements are down somewhere, and this is not. This is again.
well, then, Cheryl,
cardboard,
we'd
but-
have to read the directions.
Really? Oh no, not really. You wanted me to spoon feed you all of this? Yes. But I'm good at backing up with directions.
Good.
Because sometimes you need that.
My mother, when she was a little girl, not far from here, on 16th Street in Pacific Grove, she came home from school, and her grandmother was on the roof, and she was putting the plumbing in.
Putting the plumbing in?
She put the plumbing in the house.
Oh, my goodness.
And she wasn't a plumber. She just decided that
it was
You know,
time.
it was her generation. It's like, I want to figure out how to
How to do this.
plumb the house. I've been always curious.
Interesting.
That was,
Did it
almost
work?
80 years ago. Well, the house is still there.
Is it?
And no, I don't ever remember anyone saying it didn't work. So sometimes,
Amazing.
like David wants me to read directions. It's like, I don't read directions. Of course, it's probably easier if you read the directions.
It's a good backup
I do,
anyway.
and I do read directions, but that's my out.
Your grandmother plumbed her own
Yeah.
house without directions.
That was the can do it.
Yes, definitely.
See, the
Yeah.
things that you're doing right now would be all the things that the ladies in my family would have loved to do. I have one aunt who's an excellent, showed me a doll that she made for her daughter, and it's like, you had talent for
There,
this.
yes.
And at the time she made it, people weren't doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
50 years
Well,
ago.
we're still a little high here. I
Just
don't know
keep
if you can
trimming it.
just keep trimming it down, because even though the silk is thin that's going to go on the edges, it's still there. You're going to lose a tiny little bit as it goes around the edges.
So each of these pieces we really have to do individually to
Right.
fit them in the spaces.
Yeah. Okay, so that's fitting nicely. And we've got the end here, which is
We got a little bit of an
definitely
we got a little
a
overhang.
little overhang there. And needs to be trimmed off the bottom. Try it again. And it's still a little bit more off. Maybe we'll take it off the top this time.
I mean, when you're making something out of wood, you're dealing with wood being, a little bit of warp in it, and all those issues.
And then we've got
How
to
much you
remember to
sand.
mark them.
Yeah, and how much sanding you've done.
Right,
That can
right.
change.
Yeah. And this is the right side. We need one for.
Oh yeah, we've got to
We've got to mark them because they're not going to be the same from side to side. So anyway, I think you've got the idea here.
Yeah, you
of
just
what
keep
we're doing.
working it
Just keep
until-
working until, until you've got it totally flush here. Okay, so that's. Let me just hold this up so you can see. Though
you
I think I
figure-
did a picture of this for you, so you can see what that does.
That's very self-explanatory of what you
Yeah.
need to do. But the little fiddly bit on this is we cannot have these pieces being too big
Extending over the
over
edge.
to here,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Is that
Correct.
Do I have that?
That's right. Okay, now we're going to take all these pieces out.
So we've done fun stuff. This is not the funnest part, but it's kind of what we have to do.
It's really important part, though,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we get this right.
The box is really holding up very nice.
It is.
I mean,
It's
it hasn't been that long, and it's
no, and it's getting nice and dry. Now I gave you cardboard that is white on one side and brown on the other, because I didn't want the brown giving a shadow to the silk.
Right.
So the white cardboard
White is
was really
neutral.
important. But you don't want to be marking on the front. You
No.
want to be marking on the
the
back.
back. Mhm.
So I laid all of those pieces out.
You've done that already.
I've done that already.
We just
And
gave you an
there's-
example of
Right. There are 2 weights of cardboard, though. I have cardboard for the sides that we did on all the sides that is lightweight and thinner. And then I did cardboard for here and here and here that's a heavier weight. So
Is there a
we
differentiation in the packaging?
No, but you ought to be able to feel it. It's
Okay.
remarkably different
Okay.
from
Yeah.
heavy
So
to
you've
light.
got to feel it, people.
Right. Yeah.
Feel the cardboard.
Feel the cardboard. So on here, like your center is really, and I marked it CB, and this was obviously done from another kit that the CB a little bit wider than that. And then I've got LS, which is left side. You needed 2 of those. Center side is for here, so I marked that. The TBs, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of those are the tops and bottoms here. And then you've got the 2 ends. So I've already marked all of this on the cardboard. Now
And they should be doing that too.
Yes, and you need to do that because you fit each of these pieces, especially for your box.
Right.
And you need to know that that's where it's going. So
Now,
now
if they mess this up, this is a cardboard that is,
you can find.
You can find it.
Yeah.
it's almost, if you go to a bakery, it's almost like a bakery box.
Exactly, it is. It's really cereal weight boxes, but the cereal weight boxes have stuff on one
graphics.
side that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
going to be pretty
Yeah.
with your silk.
No,
So unless you want a little bit
I mean,
of
you
extra.
could, but you could use probably a white bakery box.
Yes, yeah. Or, the boxes
lid.
that packages come in, that
Right.
white.
Yes,
that
shirt
white
boxes.
Shirt box kind of thing. Okay, so you have a choice at this point of cutting them with your paper scissors. Got a dog helping underneath the
That's
table.
the time of the day
Yes.
Annabelle has to get under the table.
Okay.
Now, if they're good at using a old-fashioned paper cutter, wouldn't that work too?
That would work as long as you're cutting exactly on the lines. The other thing that would work is you could use the same ruler that you made your lines with, and I've given you a single edge razor blade
And you could
that
do
will
that.
also do that. Just don't let this
Yeah,
wiggle
you
around.
gotta hold it down.
You gotta hold it down. So there are 3 ways to cut it out. So we will pretend that I've already cut all of this, as I did it once.
Yeah, because we
With the magic of television, we
That's
are
right.
moving forward, just like on the cooking shows. So, okay, so the
but
next.
most of this we really do
Do it, right, okay. So, on these pieces, on your 2 big side pieces here, we're going to need to add padding because we're going to be eventually pinning in the garments
Okay.
here. So this one's already covered. I'm gonna show you, you'll just lay this on here, put Yoo-hoo all over this, put this down. It's under my silk here. And then you just trim it from the back until it absolutely fits your pattern piece. You don't want any overhangs like this.
Okay.
This is
But that's gonna
exact-
go, the silk is gonna go on top of that
Right,
ultimately.
it's gonna be,
It's padding,
right, it's ultimately padding for that.
So the silk's
So
going
this
on
is
top of
already glued on.
Right.
And we're gonna put our silk piece
right,
and
on
center
that,
that.
right.
Put
So
that
should
here.
they first hoo-ha or yoo-hoo? The,
No,
they want it to be just
Okay.
the edges.
just the edges are
Right,
gonna
gotcha.
go over, okay?
We don't want
So
to glue this
No.
onto that.
We
No,
wanna glue the padding onto here.
but just on the edges.
No,
No.
I glued
Oh,
the
okay,
padding
gotcha.
all over, so it didn't move on me.
I'm sorry if I've been.
Yeah, yeah, you're jumping ahead.
Okay.
You're jumping ahead, Michael.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah. It's a sad thing, it's just like the dogs.
Yeah.
It's that sad
I
face.
just want to
I
understand.
just want to understand. So we'll just pretend we're doing this again. So I do want to get this.
So we don't
even.
want any overhang.
No overhang.
We don't want any folds.
No folds, no overhang. And if your padding does have a crease in it like that, it actually irons very well in the iron with the iron and the ironing
But
board.
if you come out a little short on this, it would be okay.
That would be fine. Okay.
Just-
So cutting that off, gluing this down, and then putting this right sides down here. And you're gonna put Yoo-hoo here, or a thin line of magic glue. And
This is not going to show.
no,
This
not
is
at
all
all.
gonna be encased.
Because everything is gonna be glued on the back
Right.
and not on the front. So I would start with the sides like that first. And I didn't allow a lot of overhang, because if you have a lot of overhang, you have real problems in the corners
Right.
getting it smooth. So we do the
So
sides
they're going to have to
first.
cut this out very carefully. So
Well,
they
this is
don't-
already cut.
Oh, it's
for you.
pre-cut. So
Already
you cut it
pre-cut.
out very carefully.
I did,
Okay.
so that it would all fit for you. Okay, so we're gonna glue that, and then you can see when we come to these corners, I put the glue here, and then I pull the corner like that.
And then you,
And then,
just like a Christmas package.
yes, exactly, just like
Beautiful,
that.
and it turns
And-
mitered.
Yes, and it turns mitered, and this is what it looks like when it's finished.
And so they do that to every single
To
piece.
every piece, yes.
And it's the same type of mitering on every corner?
Yes,
Okay. And of
all-
course, that'll
all the
be
same.
in the directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
and here you can see the backs. I've got them all marked, rights, lefts, this is the center, and these are the sides. Okay, so then we're missing the tops and the bottoms, because these actually weren't done for this box. I mean, we'll see if they fit, but I have my doubts that they fit exactly.
That looks pretty good.
Not bad, not bad,
That's pretty
Cheryl,
good.
not bad. Okay,
That looks pretty good.
yeah, better than I thought. So, this is the last piece, actually, that we want to put in, because I found that I kept wanting to take this out and fiddle with it.
Right.
And,
Yeah, to
yeah, so, and the same
now, is
with
it
this.
removable? I mean, do you glue that totally down?
I glue this down.
Yeah.
Once I've decided
Everything-
where I want my pieces, and I've given you little short applique pins. When we get to the finish of our clothes, we'll go in, but you can see here,
Sorry, she's
maybe
upside
tucked
down,
in.
but you
Yeah.
can get,
But
they've got little
they're
tiny,
all tiny applique pins. And because we have the batting on here, we can do that.
Right.
And that allows, now I have a few things permanently glued in here. I glued the soap in, I think, and the
well,
little.
that, interesting that you did that, because a lot of the really, really original pieces that I've seen with soaps and things, they're glued in.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, it if you think about it, it was a quick, easy way
That's true,
to
to keep them
all
Yeah.
together.
And when I was talking with Michael about this, we decided not to permanently put the clothes in.
No, 'cause we wanna
could have
play
sewn
with
it,
them.
Because you want to play with it. We want to take it out. Maybe today she wants her plaster and flannel dress to
Yeah,
wear
yeah.
with her little toque.
No,
Or
I mean, we expect to see these dolls all over the world doing different things, to
Doing
be in
different things,
Brazil
yes.
and
Right.
and Germany
and with the patterns that you have, you can create lots of clothes
Unlimited.
for her.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
With just changing trims, changing fabrics. A little stripe would be nice. Cottons would
I mean,
be
you're,
nice as well.
and this is really summer inspired, but she could also have a
Have a
complete
winter
winter wardrobe
Right.
and a fall wardrobe.
Right,
And,
right.
and
Yes.
maybe we'll give them a little showing of one of our treasures of a mignonette with a whole lot of clothes.
Yes.
And they can even add more
Right,
ideas.
right, yeah. Because the littles are fiddly to work with, but they're quick.
Yeah.
They're really quick to
And
do.
I love to use up the little tiny bits of things that I just can't
I can't
bring
bear
myself.
to throw
I
out.
just can't.
Yes, right, right.
I wasn't raised that way.
No, no. And this is the perfect place because it doesn't take
It doesn't
very
take a
much
lot,
fabric.
yes.
No, no. So anyway, when you look at her, these are all now in place, except for I think I didn't glue in. Let me move her little
It's that
shoes
kind of we
here.
need to have her. That needs to sometimes come out.
Yeah, and I also, on this, I've given you enough of the extra seam binding that I made little loops so it's easy to lift this in and out when you want to. And then with your awl, if you look at the back here, I took my awl and I made 2 holes here, threaded my ribbon on a big-eyed needle, which is on your student, what you're supposed to bring, and just threaded from the front and then coming up here. And that way, she gets tied in her box.
And that way she can go
and
wherever
then she's safe.
she can go wherever she wants.
Yeah,
And you know what we
she's safe.
should create for them, Cheryl, is for the bottom of the box, we should have a name plate for them.
Oh, what a
so
great
that so that we'll
idea.
we'll give that as a downloadable so that they can just
Oh,
print in
that's
their own name and
cool. And the date.
and the date and
right.
when they made it, and
Yes.
then it can be an heirloom for the future.
Right. Great idea. I like it.
Because we've got that extra space, we might as well,
Well,
use
use
it.
it.
She looks
Yeah.
really cute there.
She is adorable.
Yeah, it's got a
And-
good feeling, doesn't it? To
And
work
you
with
know
her.
the surprise, give a really good close-up on her. Those are not glass eyes.
I mean, Carl really did a
Carl
phenomenal
did
job.
phenomenal job of painted eyes.
And I have to tell you that he sent this. This is the prototype. We don't have one. Cheryl's. This is
Snatched it.
And well, she had to have it to work with.
Right.
And when it came in, I assumed that it had glass eyes, and it wasn't until I really, really, really looked at her that I realized that they were painted eyes. And the thing that I think is great about those painted eyes is they're the same size.
True.
Sometimes the little
The
ones,
little ones are not very
they're
consistent.
very hard to get
Right.
a matched pair.
Exactly.
And I think for the people that want to maybe do the mold, they're not going to have to deal with
Eye cuts.
eye cuts.
On the little
I
ones,
mean, they're
which
going to
are
have to
hard.
paint the eyes beautifully, but they're not
Yes.
going to deal with eye cuts.
Right, right. Or having to source tiny eyes that are consistent and
Yeah.
nice quality.
It's
That's a
very-
big problem.
It's hard. It was hard in 1885, and it's hard now.
Right, right.
So I think you'll be pleased because we are,
Are just
and we're
ecstatic.
fussy.
Yes, right.
All right, so
Okay.
so shall we? Are we going to glue in the sides now, or is that the next step?
Yeah, that is the next step.
Okay.
Shall we do that?
Sure, let's
Okay.
do that.
Okay, so we've had all of our cardboard fit. Now let's see how we cover these pieces. So I have marked all of them. This is LS, which means it is the lower side of the left side. As you remember,
So
we
it's
marked
LLS.
yeah,
But they can
left
mark it
side.
however they
Yes,
want,
exactly.
as long as they
But
know.
as long as we know that it goes here. Okay, so we're going to put it the white side down, and we're going to get our
Now, Cheryl, this would apply how we're attaching the silk would be for the padded pieces and
or the unpadded, doesn't
same,
matter.
Same technique.
Same technique, yeah. So I'm just laying it down, cutting off
And it looks like you have
piece.
about a half an inch on the
Yes, but
sides and an inch on the.
the fabric already comes to width.
Okay.
It's just not cut to length.
Okay, so they have to cut it to length.
Yes, right.
And if they're really thrifty, they could probably get a little extra fabric and make a little tiny dress or something if they're
Okay.
really, really thrifty.
thrifty. You know,
Or
Cheryl
even a
is not
hat.
noted for wasting fabric,
yes.
so
I could make something out of the
yeah,
scraps.
yeah. So I get the first side down, and then I give some tension to the cardboard so that we get any of these little wrinkles out, and then we wrap the other side tight. So we want it really smooth on the front so you don't see anything.
And if you hear snoring, that's Annabelle having her nap time.
After supper.
Yes.
Okay.
So you get that nice and taut.
Yes, I get it very taut because I don't want any wrinkles or anything showing on the front. Okay, now we have to deal with these edges. The first thing I'm going to do is cut this off just a tiny bit shorter because the more you have, the harder it is to do. So just give a little trim. And then I'm going to come back with the
trimmed
glue
about a
stick.
quarter inch.
Yeah.
But they're gonna do it however they like.
Right. As long as they're not
Bulky.
wasting fabric,
Yeah.
because I said there's not going to be a lot of extra. So the first thing I did was put glue in the ends there, because if we fold it over and we don't have glue there, it's going to pop. So I've given it a sort of a little miter on the fold there, and then I'm just going to do that and wrap that over so that it's nice and square on the ends.
Nice.
Nice looking, yeah. Because if we
And
don't
what's
have
so
that,
great about this glue is it doesn't bleed through.
it doesn't bleed through. No, it doesn't.
Which a lot of glue, that would just be a disaster.
Yep.
An ugly disaster.
So remember, give yourself a little bit of a miter there, and come with a little more yoo-hoo, and fold it over.
That's great.
Okay, so then that's going to fit, and actually can be glued right in. This is our left side piece. Can be glued right in place like that.
Okay.
Okay, and for that, you're not going to use yoo-hoo. You're going to use the magic
Weehaw?
glue. Yes, the weehaw glue. Yoo-hoo and weehaw.
We need to make a label for it. Weehaw.
Okay, so
This is serious stuff now. I'm sorry.
it's really serious stuff, especially.
David never watches these things, but he's in the room. So now
With my wine.
Go, what?
the
Okay.
weehaw glue.
The weehaw glue. Okay, so.
See, he's so gullible. He said, "Are you serious?"
No.
Well, we'll
look,
get
so
labels. I'll have
right.
Samantha tomorrow make labels and
For
say
weehaw.
Oh gosh, you think you would have the wine.
So, I know.
It's been a long day.
It has. All right, so this is our centerpiece that our doll is going to be tied to, like I showed you before. And I have covered it, and this time I did use this and not the yoo-hoo, and then or the weehaw, whatever. Jeez.
So you use both on this one?
Yes, I did.
Because this one has to be very...
Right, very secure here. Yeah. And this is a padded piece, of course, because you wouldn't want your doll on something hard.
No.
So, and then I took another strip of this seam binding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I made little loops because it's a lot easier to get it out.
Yeah, because that's
going to
go in.
Out.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but we do have to tie her in. So this is where your big eye needle is going to come in.
Which they have to supply that.
They have to supply that.
Well, most people have those,
yes.
I think.
And I took the awl and I marked, I actually measured this. I said, okay, here is halfway between 6 is 3, that's the hole. So I started my hole from the back and got it, and I'm not on the cutting board, not on the table, and then came over to the front and finished by really turning the awl and making a nice hole, so that when I came with my ribbon, just going to thread through here like
It's easy.
that. It's really easy.
And this is, I mean, if people are going to use this as a travel doll,
you want her
secured.
secured. She needs to be secured because there's enough space in there that she would be rattling around, which we don't want.
Well, but not how we do things. There'd be so many dresses in there that she's going to be, that's going to be her padding.
Right. So anyway, that is how we secure that. Just the rest of the pieces are covered like the ones that I showed you, the one I showed you in the beginning. And then we're finished with the inside.
Then we just have to assemble it.
We're going to glue all those pieces in, except for this one. And it's going to get the beautiful label down here that we're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that tomorrow.
Yeah. And then, except for one thing that I have not shown you. And that is at this point, we want to apply the trim. Now, this is my right side here. So it's this side. And this fits in here like that. So you could put your trim on with that in place, but it's ever so much easier.
To do it
You put your
before.
trim on now.
Yeah.
So, and
Because
there are,
this you're going to use the WeHaw glue.
right. Yes, I am.
You're going to use the WeHaw glue.
Glue
It's
for this
different.
one.
It's a different kind of glue. It's the WeHaw.
So we're going to run a bead of glue. Now, it doesn't get on 4 sides, it's only on 3. So be sure you've got, let me make myself sure.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
this
anybody
is,
can
this
make a
is
mistake.
With, yes.
So you just get it on 3
I'm
sides.
just going to run a bead of glue here. And I will tell you that there are a couple of different trims in this kit that are not all identical. This is one. They're all vintage, though, I have to say. This is hard to find this stuff these days.
So this is not, there's not going to, you're not going to be able to get this everywhere.
No. So you'll see this one, and the other one is similar. The green's not quite as avocado, but it's the same Rococo trim. Rococo. So, and WeHaw has to wait for a minute.
Yeah, you got to
before
let
it
WeHaw.
sticks.
WeHaw needs a little time to
Yes,
set.
to set. So. But this nice sharp applicator on this is really great.
Sure, and there are people that do cake decorating.
Yeah.
Do this with
Not a problem.
not a problem.
Okay, so then we just miter this turn here.
And that's looking really pretty.
Is that looking pretty?
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice frame for for all of your clothes and accessories.
And if the students wanted to, they could take, if they've got some fabulous family lace, they could put a little lace underneath it, put that on. They could customize this.
Right.
I mean, that's allowed, isn't it?
Sure.
They
Make it yours.
Yeah,
Make
if they
it
want to play
personal.
and
Yes. Now, I've got an inch extra. I would definitely save this.
Yeah, because that could go on for her. It could go on a hat.
It could go on a hat. It'd be a great trim on the hat. But when you cut it, I would put a little bit of glue
Little
on the
WeHaw
end.
on the end.
A little WeHaw on the end. Because I WeHawed all of your trims before I packaged them.
Sure. Because you don't want them unraveling before they get them.
No. Okay, so then that is ready to, if all of this were, let's put it in right. And it just slides in
right
like
in.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll pretend that all of this is covered, and that's it. So looks
All
pretty.
right, we'll get those done, and then we'll be back for the next step of the valise.
Yes, the outside. We have to trim up the outside to look like a valise.
All right, we'll be back.
Okay, we are back, and in the time we've been gone, I finished covering all my edges and gluing the trim on. I have not glued these in yet because I found it's handy sometimes to have those be still removable, and of course we've still got our little removable center there.
I mean, Cheryl, do they even have to glue it in?
No, you don't.
Okay. So
If it's snug. If it's not, it will fall out.
Right.
So, yes, you don't want. So, we're back to now doing the finishing to make it look like a real travel suitcase, a little valise. And I have to say, when I look back, there were some places here that were a little bit open, so I took my magic glue, put the nozzle in there.
Woo-ha
The
glue.
woo-ha glue. Stuck it in there. And, truly, we hadn't had any wine when we were doing this before.
Well, it's woo-ha glue.
Yeah, so anyway, that I just touched those places up if there was any place that looked like it was not going to be smooth. So, all right, so now we've got to do our strapping. And the straps start evenly
Well,
in
the good news is, what about these straps, Cheryl? Because I asked you off camera.
Oh.
What is the good news?
The good news about the straps is they've already been cut
Yeah.
for you.
That's
That's
what
really
I
good
love about
news. Yes, is I cut them all for you. So
it's a really nice leather, too.
it is. It's a lovely leather, nice and thin, so we don't have too much sticking up. But we have to worry about the placement on these. And I think what I found worked the best is if I just took my pencil and my ruler, my handy dandy ruler, and I think it's about 1.5 inches from the edge, and I just made little light pencil marks here so that I could see that it's all going to be even when it goes on. So, and
We'll just lay the edge right over
we're just going
that.
to lay the edge right on that so that the pencil marks will be covered, but at least you know it's going to be straight when you're finished. I'm going to do another one up here at the top. And we know it's going to end up on the other side too, so might as well put that one in.
It's really overnight. It's gotten very strong.
All the
But
glue
as
is totally dry now.
That makes
Yeah, and it's not wiggly in any way. Mark on the light spot. And then as long as we're measuring, we might as well
keep
do the
doing it.
other
Mhm.
side because we're going to have those on there too.
And this particular ruler you're using is really great because you can set the
You can set
Set
your
it.
stop.
so
And
you're
it-
not going to have wigglings and moving.
Right. Correct. I love these. And I never seem to be able to find them at my house, so I have dozens of them.
Well, why not? I
around
understand.
Because anytime I think I know where it is, I don't. So I just have them everywhere. It's where the gremlins run off with them, but
Oh,
I'm
yes.
the gremlin. It's not anybody but me.
You know, we have a ghost here, so.
Oh, do you? Oh,
Yeah,
well, maybe
Tom-
that was
Tom, his name is Tom, and Tom can sometimes be mischievous.
I see.
You haven't encountered Tom yet?
No, I
Yeah?
have not. No. But usually by the time I get up to go to bed at night, I just fall into
Yeah, it doesn't
bed.
matter. Yeah, you're not
I'm
not
just
aware.
gone.
You're not
Could be
aware.
wandering around, and I would
That's
never
true. You
know.
wouldn't.
Okay, so now we're going to take our glue. This leather, you really got to look because there's one side that's smoother and shinier, but it's really easy to get it mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's really nice.
it's beautiful,
thin leather.
beautiful leather.
Gee.
Okay, so let's get our great glue out here. And
So this one we use.
we're going to use this because the Yoo-hoo glue stick would not be strong enough to hold this.
So this is the super strong glue.
Yeah, this is it. A little bit across the end here. And actually this glue is one that it's actually better if it sets a little bit before you
Put it on.
start using it. So I think I can just freely, I'm not going to get so much that my glued strap is going to flop all over where I don't want it to go. So. Okay, Okay, so using our guides in the beginning.
So you're not going to glue the whole thing. You're going to
No,
just do it
I'm
in
good.
sections.
I'm afraid with my
Yeah,
luck,
it's-
it would be stuck together by
Yeah.
the time we finished it.
Yeah.
So, all right.
That makes total sense.
I'm going to place it even with my box here.
And you're pulling it a little
I'm
taller.
giving a little bit of stretch to it.
So you can trim it on the other end if we.
Yes, right, because you're going to have just a little bit more and then just visually watch to make sure it really is running straight. You don't want it wiggling along there. So now
Good.
we'll just continue here. I'd say glue about half of it and then
Do the other half.
do
I
the
should.
other half like this, because then you have a little better control. Some people are not very good with glue, getting in trouble. So
We've spent our whole career undoing things that people have glued badly. If they would just not glue it, just leave it. And I mean, it's good that they glue it so that whatever piece stays together, but my goodness, I mean, some people just cannot glue anything.
no, they're really a disaster with
They
glue. Okay, again, I'm giving it just a tiny bit of stretch here.
And
We
one
get
of
to
the
top.
greatest collectors that we ever knew was Lucy Morgan, and she gave us the best advice ever to be in this business, and which was learn to glue.
Is that right?
And it's a metaphor of life, isn't it?
Yes,
You know
true.
what? Things are going
Yes.
to break. Learn to glue.
Learn to glue. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that now and not cut it until this glue is set up a little bit. But it's nice and straight, given your guidelines.
Hold on, let me
there.
get it. That looks really good.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do the other side.
Shall we do the other side?
Yeah.
So we will get the other side glued, and we will be
be
back.
back. Okay, now we have the straps, both of the straps on, and I left this, you can see you've got a little more than you need, and then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut them evenly. Do not wrap them into the box, because then you will not have a smooth box closure. You just want those trimmed evenly like that.
And again, we're not giving you measurements. You just have
No,
to
you just have
fit
to
it to the piece.
match it up. Okay, so that part is done. Now we're going to go on to the handle. And you're always check the pieces on there's a whole sheet that tells you exactly what each piece is supposed to be. So when we come to the leather handle and the straps down here, we're going to see that we need to cut them to 1 to 6 inches long, and the other one is 5.5 because that's fitting underneath. So I'm just going to trim.
And
this
they
one.
do follow the measurement.
Yeah.
On this.
But yes, and you're going to need to trim the under handle because the leather is so thin. You need 2 layers of that leather to make it strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because we didn't want to put in a foreign, different piece of leather.
No,
so we've
no.
We've got to build this up.
We're going to build this up so
it's
it works.
wonderful leather.
So we're going to take with our glue and glue these ends back on the upper piece about 1/4 of an inch because we cut our lower piece 5.5. So I'm going to turn that back. It's almost invisible by the time you get it back, that join. Okay, so you got 2 ends cut back, and then this one is going to go
Right in that spot.
underneath. And I still need to trim this just a little bit more to fit. So now you get your 2 layers of leather with no extra bulk. Still need to trim just a tiny bit more. So we're even with what's there. Okay, that'll do it. So now we'll take our glue again and run it here. A little more. Like that. Then we're going to put our under handle on it. Well, get it started right, it helps. And still, we need to trim it a little bit more again.
It's better to keep trimming it than having it be too short.
Right. And then I take it, and while the glue is still wet, I'm going to form it so that
you're gonna knead it.
I'm gonna knead it so that it'll be actually you're under. You can see now it's going to be curved a little bit, so that
Which is perfect, huh?
Which is perfect for your handle. Okay.
Now this is going to make a strong handle.
It is.
With
It
the
makes
2
a
layers
very
and the-
strong
and the-
handle, and the glue actually ends up giving it a little more body as well. Okay, so that part is finished. Now we'll work on the luggage tag. The tags. So you've got your tab, which is going to be the piece that holds the box closed. And I just there's one piece in there like this, and there's another piece for your luggage tag, which is longer.
And they have to cut this out.
And you've got to cut this out. So I took this, and then with my pen, I drew around it onto the leather, and then I took my awl and made a mark where the hole is going to be here. So that'll be important. And then we just trim this up.
And they've got to do this.
They.
This got to be done right.
Yes.
Because once they mess it up,
That's it. That's it.
I'll be calling Cheryl.
No. No, don't mess it up. Do it right the first time. Okay, and then take my awl. Oh, and by the way, you know, the awls usually come with the piece that goes over them, but mine's are always coming back.
Oh, don't give us that. You use this to open up wine bottles.
Yeah, right. But you know, all those corks, and I do save corks from wine bottles, make a great cover for your awl. So then we're going to take and just make that hole in this. And if you notice on the pattern, it's not just a hole. There's a hole and a slit. And that's because this has got to go over our latch, which is this piece right here. So I'm going to do that.
Which is an elegant latch.
Yes, of course. It's for her travel
That's
valise.
right.
I mean,
Go all over the
of course,
world.
it's elegant. Yes. Take your scissors and just cut that little.
It's going to be very interesting to see how far she goes in the world.
It will. That really
We
will
will
be
stay
interesting,
tuned.
won't it? And then I'm going to trim just a little bit more out around that hole so it really is open. Yes, I bet she'll be a world traveler.
Oh, absolutely.
Like a creator who's the gypsy of the world.
You are. You
Always
are.
somewhere. Then you can see how nicely that works. Is going to work as your latch here. Okay.
That's great.
Yeah. All right.
So we did that without having to do anything extra. It just worked out perfect.
Just worked out perfectly. Okay. So we need to install this, however. So.
And we do this first.
And we do this first. We're first going to put our latch in place here. And again, my ruler, which is probably under something. Do you see it?
Oh, it's right here.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yes. we do need
Maybe
to,
we need to get that on, tie that around your neck.
maybe we do. Okay, so I'm just estimating that that's centering here. It's about 3/4 of an inch more in either way. So then if it's centered, that means this has to sit at 3. The knob has to sit at 3.
And the just get it centered between
Yes.
those two strips.
Right. Okay, and then I'm going to take my
And use your
awl and I'm
awl.
going to make a little bitty hole here. Now, in your box,
I mean, if they don't have an awl, if they've got an ice pick, that would probably work too. know.
but every sewer really needs
Yeah,
an awl.
they
There is
do.
multiple places that one needs
Yes.
to use an awl. So in the package that all this came in, it's this little piece that you think is throwaway, but it's not. It's holding down the 2 little pins that are going to hold that handle
So
in
be
place.
very careful and
Well, I nicely
Do not-
taped them onto the
Yes.
side, so
yes,
don't throw it
disregard
out.
this. There's
No,
nothing.
they're very important. So we'll just open up.
And these are
this
the little
tape.
nails.
These are the little nails that are going to hold that.
So you've done a
Plus-
pilot with your awl.
No,
No, you haven't done that yet?
what?
Did you do a pilot?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I
Okay.
did. When we were talking about.
I'm new here.
You are. You're only photographing. You're not paying attention.
I am, but I am.
Oh, I've taped these so well that I can't get them out. There we go.
There you go.
There we are.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So I am going to
And they'll probably have a
actually.
little stickiness in them too. That'll help.
They, maybe, but I'm also going to not take a chance.
So you're
And
gluing.
I'm putting glue on the back of the.
Yeah. So
of the
it's
latch.
really going to be.
Yeah,
It's going to be in there solid.
it is. This would not do it alone, though.
No, they have to use the nails.
You have to use the nails. No, I don't have with me as a hammer, so maybe we'll just use the back of the awl to push it in.
I think that'll work because
Yeah,
it's pine, so the box, so it should be.
yeah.
But I do have a hammer.
Yes, I imagine you do. But we'll just make it more fun this way. I probably could have
I
made
kind
my
of try to-
pilot all a little
Try
bit.
to isolate hammers when you have a lot of pistols
I
around.
see.
They need to check them out here when they.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you did it, didn't you?
I think I did. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll just give ourselves a better
Yeah.
pilot hole on the side. maybe make
it's
it a
not-
little
maybe they're
easier.
pine, but maybe it's not such a soft pine.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yep.
did. Oop,
That one bent over. Okay.
straighten that.
Straighten
that
back
up.
again.
You're way better at this than I would be. I would be. I'd be calling for David to do it for me.
Well, it would be nice if I had a David to call.
I mean, he can build stuff.
I know he can. Build, repair, create, all of that stuff.
He's a multi-talented person.
Yes.
Oh, and it looks like he's coming in now.
Ah. Just hold that in place and get that down.
We were just talking about you.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh yeah.
He's terrified. Okay. So you got the idea. And then we'll take our strap. So you've got your latch in place. We'll take our strap and we'll pull it so that we know how far back it goes. And then I've taken, you're going to use these decorative nails for your holding your handle on and to hold the tab on. So I took, because this is quite long, in here. I've
the nail
taken
part.
this and clipped the ends off.
So you have to have little wire cutters.
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
to,
I think
to
that's on the list of
things that they
things
have to
you
have.
need to provide. Okay, and then we will see that that needs to be with our handy awl again. Right here. And you really do need to make a pretty substantial hole with your awl. And then we'll do the same thing with a little bit of glue just to make sure that stays and doesn't come out.
I love decorative tacks.
Yes. Again, if you had your hammer, it probably would be easier, but
Well, we will get a hammer for this.
I think we will. Because
Next part.
Next shooting, we will do that. So anyway, that's the idea when we tack that.
So let me see that up close. So that, oh yeah, that works great.
Okay. So now it's easy just to lift that off, and it's securely closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we did put a little. Did we put a little glue in?
I
there?
did. I put
Okay,
a little glue
perfect.
back there. Okay, so let's go back to our handle now. And we're going to, on the top, make
And you're
hollows.
going what, about 1/2 inch in?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, this is that they just figure this out.
I do a lot of eyeballing,
Yeah, eyeball this.
you know.
I know on type A's it'll drive them to.
Yes. Well, I like neatness, but I'm not so compulsive that.
They made these by hand and they just did what they needed to do. They
Yeah.
didn't- The original ones,
And the nails are going down. If you want to swing the camera over to show that they're going down on the straps. Okay.
yeah, you're putting it right at the edge.
Right. I'm putting it right here. So, let's see. Yes, it's on the flap. I'm just checking to see, do I have my handle on this lined up with here, but I don't. I have it here, so they're going to go on this side.
But they could do it whatever.
Yeah, it's not functionally going to make any difference.
No.
Okay. So, again, I've estimated where that's going. And I know it's going to be in exactly the same place on this side, so we might as well go ahead and make the hole. Again, just a little dab
Extra
to be
wouldn't
sure.
hurt.
Yes.
Would not hurt.
Yeah, and I made such a good pilot hole that actually it's going to need glue underneath.
Well, that's all right.
At least I don't have to.
It'll.
I don't have to hammer that one in. But the glue is really strong, so it will, given a chance to dry, it will be just dandy.
Well, it's
So
special
there you-
magic glue.
Oh, I messed up. No, I didn't. I'm okay. Okay, I still got to get my luggage tag on there, but we don't have to
No,
worry
that can
about
come,
that.
can
It
go on and come off, right,
afterwards,
yeah.
Okay, so now we move to the luggage tag. So I had two pieces on the pattern. I've got one with, you're going to cut one with the little window in it and one without that's solid. So I took this and I put this down here, whoops, like that, and then took my pen and drove around it. Now I found it was really difficult to cut two exactly the same unless you cut them together. So I'm just gonna fold this like this, and then
And this you're gonna need some sharp scissors.
yeah, you
for.
need sharp scissors. Now I tend to not have special leather scissors. Some people do. I don't. I just
This
use,
is such nice.
This is so thin.
Thin. It's just like
you've got fabric that's heavier than this.
absolutely, and actually harder on the.
All on the scissors,
Mhm.
yeah. So I'm just trying to follow my lines. And you've got a little tab here at the end, which is where the handle that goes over, or the tab that goes over your handle is going to go. And round off that. Okay, now you've got two alike. So, and I've got a little bit of a piece here that needs to come off. There we go. Then you're going to take this one and cut out the window. So in order to start that, I just fold it in half and give it a little snip.
Makes it easier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I can get in and cut out my window.
This is probably one of the hardest parts of the whole.
Well, you can tell I'm concentrating. That's why I'm not talking,
Yeah.
because I want to concentrate on my work here. Got just a little bit more on this corner. Okay. Now, you also have your tag that says Celine a la Valise. So, oh, I can tell that's a little ragged. I need to go in and trim that up. But this is going to go behind it. So let me give a little trim to this piece
Just
that's
a little trim.
sticking out. See that cream color really shows up
Yes.
your mistakes. One more time and we'll get it.
We have to keep working it till
Until
it's
it's
just right.
just nice and smooth in there.
And I think this is probably the most difficult part of
This
the,
is
decorating,
this
yeah.
is fiddly work
Yeah.
here. What I call fiddly work.
you just keep
Keep
going around until we get
it's-
it.
Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to put a little bit. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah, that looks really nice.
Put
using
a
this-
little
the-
bit of glue back here.
The magic glue.
Yes, magic glue. Now, I also, and I should have told you that before, I marked the size. So I'm going
So
to take,
that they trim that.
yeah, so you're going to trim this down to fit. And I'm also going to round the corners because our luggage tag has round corners.
And they just do it to
Just
do
do
it to fit the
Right.
space. Don't.
Don't fiddle about measuring and all of that stuff. Okay, so we
And
need
they really could take that and copy it and then make other things for her too.
true.
They could
That's a
make
good
little
idea.
calling cards.
Yes. Okay, now she's centered. And there, and then we're going to add, be sure to tell the right. I almost got fooled there myself. Tell her the right
Yeah, you
and
have
the
to feel
wrong
it, yeah.
because it's so similar. Now I don't want you to put glue here on the tab.
You want it on the leather.
Yeah, I want it on the leather, and I want it so that we can put that on the handle. If we completely made a loop and didn't do that, then we couldn't get it on our luggage tag. So we're going to do that. And since they were cut together, we know
It will
they're
fit.
going to fit together perfectly, like that.
And you're going
Yeah.
to work it in.
Squish it down, straighten up that little curly edge. Now you've still got this open here.
Which we need that.
We need that open because we have to put it on the handle. So this is going to loop around like this. These.
And this is not
pieces.
meant to ever be removed.
No, it's not.
So
It's
don't be
not a
giving it-
removable. Don't give it to any of her friends.
No.
This is her valise, her travel valise. And this is going to glue like that. So I'm going to put a dot of glue here. So, and I almost, did you catch that? I almost put it on upside down.
Well, it wouldn't, maybe it wouldn't be upside down because it would be, depends on what side you looked at it.
No, it was the leather that I
Oh,
had
that
been using
yeah.
the wrong side. I went, oh, wait a minute.
Well, the magic of television
yes.
is we would edit that out.
Right, but I told the truth that this is something to beware of because it's easy to happen.
Well, we are perfect. At
Of
everything.
course.
We never
Of course
make
we're
mistakes.
Yeah, I so wish. Okay, now we're going to open those little tabs up there, and we're going to put a little leather glue or a little glue in on both sides. And it's going to sit right over like that. And then it's finished.
Well, let's see.
Good
Can
job, Cheryl. Good
you did a
job.
great job. I just think
Yeah.
it's such a fabulous
Yeah,
project.
but I
It's
have
so much
leftover.
fun.
I have leftover pieces here,
Uh-oh.
which
Oh, yeah.
means
Okay.
that we have
Oh,
to.
darn it. I thought
Well,
we were
I thought
done.
we were all done too, but we're not quite.
Oh, no.
Almost, but not quite. Oops.
So we've got to do the...
We've got to do the studs.
Yes, and those were what would make it easy to go on a train and
Yeah.
protect it from getting all
Right.
broken up.
So if you look at the studs, I've had to. I don't know. Can you see? You see that?
Oh, yeah.
I pinched them in a little bit.
Yeah.
So that they weren't like that. And then again, your ruler, so you get them the same.
Very important.
Very important. It looks like they're about 1.5 inches. Yeah.
Yep,
1.5
about 1.5
inches
inches.
down. And I'm actually on the bottom because you can see where the bottom
the
of the
folds.
box, and this you don't want to end up putting that in the
Because
middle there.
you'll
Right. So I'm going to actually put the bottoms in at about 2, because that way I know I have passed.
you don't want to nail it closed.
That would be a disaster.
I did a really
wouldn't it?
cute little miniature valise, and I did the whole thing, and I got the little tiny tacks, and I put it together, and it looked so cute. And then I put these in, and then I nailed it all closed.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, good job.
Yeah.
Okay, so I put 2 eyelet holes in here.
I mean, mine were more decorative, you know, you
Yeah.
didn't really put much in them. But this is a travel case.
Yeah, she's going to be ready to go here when this is done. And actually, so I don't push that down, I'm going to support this from the other side as I push this in.
This, you need to do a little grunt work on this.
Yeah,
So if you don't have the strength, get someone to.
a little hammer would go a long
Yeah.
way.
Well, I'll get you a hammer.
Okay, so that's the,
So you're putting all
I'm putting the,
6 of them? Or there's
no, they're 8.
They're 8,
1,
okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, so they all
Okay.
go in the same placement.
Yeah.
And I'll go get a hammer, and we will hammer those in, and then we'll show them the finished product.
Okay, excellent. Yes, we're going to be nailing the studs in, and I've gotten most of them in, and I found that if I really took my awl and gave
nice
it really a
pilot.
good pilot hole, that, and then I took, again, we've got to bend these back just a tiny bit so that they're not splaying this way because they're really hard to set. And then we put a dot of glue right there. Get your little feet of your
You
studs
just have to
in
work
the
it till
hold.
they're
Yes. And then they're there. And we'll put in the last one. And I've already bent this one over a little bit. Just be sure you hit your pilot holes. If it's not going in easily, it's because you haven't hit your pilot holes. And if you need a little bit more help, just a gentle tap here.
Now you could use your those tacks, the little prongs, to kind of mark where you need to put your pilot hole. Correct?
Well, what I don't have another
You
stud
just
out
eyeball
now.
it.
I just eyeballed it because I know that they're not over to the edge here. They're sitting in
Okay.
about 1/8 of an inch.
All right. So they just
in.
have to work it.
So just try it and you can kind of tell. And then, you know, remember you're going to be 2 inches up from the bottom and 1.5 inches from the top. So that's
They can
very...
do kind of whatever they
Yeah.
like too, though. Couldn't they?
Well, yes, as long as you don't get into
you
this
don't want it
break
in the
between your
seam.
bottom and your side.
And they'll find out, won't
They'll
they?
or will. Yes, okay.
So let's see it. It's all
So
done.
it's all done, and her little tag is ready to go so that she doesn't get lost on the train.
That's phenomenal. And then we have one little surprise that they'll see later, which
yes.
goes in it, but it's
Right.
We're not
right.
ready to show
Not
it.
quite ready with that yet. So anyway, good job.
That's
Looks
great.
great.
Well, good job. Good job to you. It was really it was
but
fun
I'm
watching.
sure my students are going to do a great job as well, because this is really fun. This is a great little project. Okay, we're going to be working on the wardrobe next.